We placed offers on 5 different homes.
We were outbid and quickly lost out.
We've put in 8 bids so far in a month and a half.
This open house in Massachusetts even creating a traffic jam as dozens of cars line the street.
There could be 50 cars, yes, 50 cars outside waiting to see that property.
We ended up putting in a little bit over 10 offers on different houses, and we were outbid.
Hello and welcome, folks. Did you know that 48% of the homes sold were over asking price? Some as high as $1 million over asking price. Did you know the median price of the house have gone from $322,000 to almost $400,000? The housing demand has increased from 500,000 to 750,000, and the recent increase in the rates have not made a single dent in the housing prices. Did you also know the median wages have gone from $62,000 in 2019 to now almost $69,000? So that means the buying power of people keeps increasing, and that's what's driving the housing prices, folks. Did you also know this is a seller's market? The seller wants you to fit the bill, you to pay the closing costs. All that means, folks, that this train is not stopping. Yet you still want to buy a house in this market? That is like looking for toilet paper in the middle of COVID. And that is the state of current housing, folks. People somehow think there will be no toilet paper available, just like they thought in 2019. But we know what happened to toilet papers. In this video, I'm going to give you some compelling arguments where to put your money instead of buying a house. But more importantly, I'll try to give you some alternatives, because a house is an investment, and I think like an investor. So I'm going to give you some investment alternatives, and you can put your money to a better use. And oh, by the way, the houses that are short are not townhomes or condos. The shortage of houses is really single-family houses. This is the seller's market. You're not going to win in this market. Just know that. Unless you have a sense of urgency, which I understand. If you have a sense of urgency, if your kids have to go to school, you have to get a house, you're a certain neighborhood, I understand that. I'm not disputing that. I'm not here to change your mind. But I think most of you don't have that sense of urgency. What you have is FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. Okay, am I right or am I wrong? You think that there won't be any houses left, and that is just not true. There are plenty of houses out there. People just only want to live in the metro areas. People don't want to go in the suburbs or live farther away from the city. In this video, I will also give you examples of some of the cities that have really low and cheap prices. So if that interests you, you know what I'm gonna do. Stick around to find out more. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Konnichiwa, ni hao, salam, namaste, privyet, salute to all my friends all over the world. If you're getting some value from this content, please click like and subscribe. Show some love for your boy AK. So let's take this toilet paper as an example, folks. What happened with toilet paper? I'm gonna play this clip for you, and you can see people think that the toilet paper will disappear from this world, as if you need toilet paper to live your life. Look at how people are hoarding toilet paper. People just can't seem to get enough of toilet paper. Or look at this lady carrying in a tray full of toilet paper. Hand sanitizer was selling for up to $50, and people were just hoarding it and buying it. So folks, I'm not the only one saying this, that you shouldn't buy a house in this market. There are other realtors also saying it. There's also a big channel called Proactive Thinker who also is proposing the same question. Should we buy a house in this market? If you don't believe me, that's fine. Let's listen to Peter Schiff, the greatest economist in the US, is saying.
What's happening in housing, it's not really that there's a boom in housing. The boom is in inflation. The government keeps printing money, and so everybody's got money to spend.
So if Peter Schiff is right, then the economy will soften up. And if it does, that means the buying power disappears of people. Please understand that. Rates by itself, like the YouTubers are saying, are not going to drive the housing prices, folks. Rates along with wages. Remember the graph that I showed you? The rates were crossing the demands. I mean, that's what needs to happen. The rates must go up, which they are next year, but the wages must come down, otherwise the demand keeps increasing. So if Peter Schiff is right, the market should soften up, and there should be an opportunity to buy a house. Look what happened to lumber prices. People stopped buying and the prices just plummeted right away. And we've seen that happen before. I've seen my friends buy houses in 2005 up to $1.1 million, thinking it's going to go up to 1.5. And they were telling me and calling me every day that, look, my house in Percival, Virginia has gone up $50,000 in 6 months. I'm going to be rich. Guess what happened? That same house went down to half the price, to $500,000. The guy ended up foreclosing on his own house. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that can happen. But I don't want to scare you folks, okay? This housing market for investors is an opportunity, okay? And for you, it should also be an opportunity. Just like COVID, people made millions of dollars in COVID. How do you think they made those millions of dollars in COVID? They saw an opportunity that people wanted this product. People wanted hand sanitizers. People wanted, paper towels. So people start selling those things. And that's the same effect that's happening with the realtors right now. There are less houses than more realtors. Why? Because everybody wants to become a realtor and make the millions that they can by squeezing the juice out of you right now. And guess what? The builders are in on it. I personally know some local builders. They're sitting on the lots waiting for the prices to go further up and to not build the houses for you. Builders just hoarding land. I can't believe I'm using this word, but it's a big conspiracy. Everybody's in on it. Everybody's trying to milk the cow. Get the last egg from the golden goose. But anyways, I've given you enough reasons and plenty of reasons, and I've shown you graphs and charts and facts and figures to show you, why this is the worst seller's market. Sellers want you to pay the closing costs. That should tell you a telltale sign. But let's talk about an opportunity. Let's see what we can do in this market. So let's take an example. If you're buying a house that's $400,000, right? And you've saved up, let's say 20%, hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, 20%. So now you have $80,000. So now you want to use that money towards buying a house. If you buy a house right now, your house might go up $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, but your house could also come down $100,000. So now you lost $100,000. My question to you is just keep an open mind. Okay, anything can happen. Nobody knows the future. We're just speculating. So if that happens, what would you do with your $80,000? It's gone. It's in the house. You can't take it out. Here are some opportunities that you can assess. And it's up to you if you want to buy a house. I'm not stopping you again. It's totally your call. But I'm giving you some options, right? Because options are the mother of all success. So some of the options are you can put the money in the stock market. Just for a few years, S&P 500, the safest investment, will give you at least 10 to 12%. So now after a few years, that $80,000 becomes $96,800. And if you keep it for 3 years, it's over $106,000. In comparison to a house that might be devalued in a few years because the prices are so high right now, you will come back on top. Is your goal just to get a house, or is your goal to also grow your money? Excuse me? So what if the rates go up and the prices keep going up as well? Then what happens then? Well, that's a valid question. What could happen if rates go up and also the price will climb? Folks, that's most highly likely to happen in the next year. Here's my argument to you, and I present this information with an open heart. Here's the thing, the rates are not the biggest problem because you can always offset the rate by making more payments towards your principal, right? You can even reduce your loan amount by 15 years or so just by adding a few $100s extra a month towards your principal. So the rate can be offset in many different ways. Rates is not the problem here. It's the housing price that's the problem. If you lose $100,000 in your house, no amount of 3% or 2% or 5% rate is going to save you. Be very careful. Don't catch a falling knife. In this case, the knife is the graph going up, for prices, right? The bigger issue, folks, is that people don't want to live in the communities outside of metro areas. That's why they're paying the highest prices. You have a choice to live in other states and other cities, other places, okay? For example, let's take an example for Michigan. Houses are selling for average $85,000, $90,000. The dates in the market is pretty high. The houses are selling for 4% lower than the asking price. So why not buy there if you're close in that neighborhood, in that area? Another example, let's take a local example in Maryland. If you go to Columbia, Maryland, right? Prices are pretty high, 25% over last year. But if you go next door to Columbia, guess what you have? You have Fulton. Fulton, the prices have gone down 25%. In this time, prices have gone 25%. So here I present this information to you as examples so you guys can see there are other options, folks. There are other options. You too can find a better deal even in this market. If you choose to buy a house, you have other options. You don't have to go live in the central part of Dallas, Texas, even though Texas has not gone up as high, only 2% since last year. That's another good opportunity for you. Dallas is a great market, a great place to buy in. Why not buy there? Until the wages are high, even though rates go up higher, it's not going to bring down the housing market. That is the absolute truth. And I'm not lying to you. You guys can look up 1990s, 1980s. You guys can also look up 2005. Rates were high as 6%. But the income was also high and the prices kept going up. So that's a testament. Let's learn from the history and not make the same mistake. Let's do some lessons learned here. And guess what? In this market, there's bidding wars going on, as you can see in the video, right? There's always a fool out there who can always try to outbid you with their paycheck. But they don't know. They don't know the market is going to go up or down. Nobody knows that, okay? We're just speculating. We don't know that. We don't know if the market is going to go down or go up. We just think it's going to go down eventually because it's not sustainable. Inflation is way too high. Wages would have to drop. Rates, already feds have said rates are going to increase at least 3 times next year, right? So let's take rental as an example. You might say, well, AK, I'm just renting right now. What do I do? I'm renting. I'm wasting money. I'm throwing money away. Well, I would disagree with you. That's not true. If you're doing rental, you're not throwing your money away. You are basically using a service, just like I would lease a car. I lease all my cars, by the way, because I don't want to buy any expensive cars. It's a service. It's a product that I'm just using temporarily. And let me give you an example. For example, like let's take my house in Virginia. I pay about $8,500 in taxes, just property tax, okay? Forget about the mortgage. Now you add to that a few more amounts like the cleaning of the house, maintenance of the house. If something breaks down like a HVAC system or something, I have to shell out $5,000 from my own pocket because it's my own house. People don't think about that. So now I'm at almost close to, let's say, $10,000 a year, right? Which is the money I'll never see again, right? Now compare that to rental. When you're renting, what happens then? You can rent a single bedroom, maybe even a double bedroom for $1,200 a month in this area. You're spending now $14,400 a year, almost close to that approximately. That's not so bad as paying $10,000 toward property tax, the money that you never see. And guess what? You're not responsible for any maintenance. If something breaks down, the landlord's gonna fix it. So is rental really that bad? Is rental really a bad option? If you can save your $80,000 and make $106,000 from it in the next few years, I think not, folks. So I'll disagree with you and everybody who's gonna leave a comment. I would love to see what you guys think about it, but this is my perception, folks. This is my speculation. This is my understanding. I think like an investor. I have an investor mindset, okay? I bought my first house at $200,000, upgraded it, flipped it for $400,000. I bought another house in the same year, bought the land for $525,000. A few years later in 2006, I sold the same house for $1.1 million. And that's what started my investment journey, okay? And you too can do that. So think beyond the house, beyond the living, beyond the lifestyle. And I know I'm a single guy, I can say it's very easy to me, but even if I had a kid or a couple of kids and a wife, I would still do the same thing. I would think about my investment long term because the goal is not just to have a house, it's to have an investment that you can grow and beat the market. Don't you want to beat the market, folks? So I've given you enough options, I've given you enough examples. I hope you guys can learn something from it. Please, if you disagree with my theories, please leave a comment. Let me know how you feel, what you're seeing in the market and the data. I do want to point out a couple of things for the people who have asked questions. So number one is my friend Stay Unknown from Lawrenceville, Georgia, or close to that. He wants to buy a house in Lawrenceville, I believe it's somewhere in Georgia. And Lawrenceville, I did look up, by the way, Stay Unknown, is Lawrenceville is actually keeps going up and up. The prices are not going to come down anytime soon. So if you want to buy there, what I see is the days in the market is about 18 or 16, which is way below the national average. The prices are also below national average, but again, the economy there is weak, it's not as strong. So if you want to buy a house there, which I understand you do, I would wait, because the market right now is just going exponentially high and fast. There's no stopping it. And even if the rates go up to 3%, 4%, 5%, it's not going to stop anytime soon because the wages are still high. Remember, the wages are still high. So I don't see it coming down anytime soon in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Now, somebody also asked a question about Michigan. I don't know which part of Michigan you live in. If you are in Michigan, Michigan is also going high. Not as high as Lawrenceville, Georgia. I don't know, Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Troy, Michigan. The prices have gone up 25% since last year. So I don't see that Michigan's slowing down. I think the rates will have an effect on Michigan, but highly likely that it may flatten now before it even starts to go down because the prices, even though it's 10, 15% higher than last year, it hasn't really imploded like other states like Arizona or Washington, D.C. and other areas. So I don't see that prices going down there anytime soon. I would also wait in that area. Look in the neighboring towns, okay? Look in the neighboring towns if there are other towns that you can move in. If there's an opportunity, like I gave you 2 examples, right? I gave you an example of Detroit. I've given you an example of Fulton, Maryland. I gave you an example of Dallas, Texas. So there's plenty of opportunities if you are flexible. And that's the thing, folks. If you want to be a good investor and investment, control your future and your financial growth, you have to be flexible, folks. You cannot just tie yourself to a town or a city or a metropolitan area or a spot that, you must live there, or otherwise Earth's going to come down. That's not how life works, folks. The more flexible you are, the more money you make, the more you grow. And if you do that, if you take my advice, you'll be so far ahead of everybody else in your pack. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching my video. As you can see, my channel is growing. My last video had over 550 comments or something insane like that. I think it crossed 55,000 now views within a matter of 3-4 weeks. My Instagram channel is also growing. We have over 6,500 or so followers there. So the channel is growing and the news is getting around. And if you find value in honesty, integrity, and a difference in opinion, then folks, we're speculating here. We're not predicting things. Anybody who's predicting things is a fool, and you should ask them what their credentials are, because you know my credentials. I'm an investor. I do this for a living. I've made money off of this. I build affordable housing, as I mentioned. And I give a lot to charity, and whatever money I'll make, if I ever make any money from YouTube, I promise to make sure that I give that money, part of that money, to charity, and that's my promise to you. So please share with your friends, please subscribe and like and click the notification button so you can get notified. If I don't read your comment and I missed your comment, I apologize again. I'm a man of many faults. But I will come back to you if you ask me a question. So if I forget, just remind me and I will come back to you, okay? So with that, thank you so much for joining my channel. Have a great day until my next video. I love you all. Bye now. Have a fantastic day.